Hi everyone, it's Bethany, and in this video I'm going to show you how easy it is to use your Cricut to write out envelopes. It's so easy and so quick, and I think it turns out really pretty. Now I will say I would not recommend doing this for your entire Christmas card list because it is a little bit of a labor of love, but for those little special occasions or if you want to just do a few, then this is a really fun idea, and I'm going to show you how you can address them with some different sizes, some different colors, and then even add a little bit of image embellishment on them as well. So very light in terms of supplies. All we're going to be using is an envelope of your choice and then some Cricut pens. So I have two colors of Cricut pens that I'm going to be using. This first one is a nice green. It's called Sour Apple. And then the second one is a red, which is called Very Berry. And they are both a fine tip pen, and I'm going to be using my Cricut Explore Air 2. You can absolutely do this on the Maker and the Joy. The reason I'm doing mine on the Cricut Explorer 2 is because I have a ton of colors of pens for that machine. So I'm going to be doing that because I just have a lot of variety. And I'm still waiting on some pens to arrive for my Joy. So if you want a tutorial for how to write envelopes with the Joy, I'll place one up in the corner, but just know you can do this with any machine. The directions will be almost exactly the same in terms of designing, and it'll be super easy. So all you need to do first and foremost is get the little measurement for your envelope that you're going to be using. So mine is 5 3/4, and my height is 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Then we're going to go into Design Space, and I'm going to show you how you can get this design so that your Cricut can write exactly where you want it on your envelope. And then I'll show you how you can use two different pens. All right, let's get started.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to Shapes. It's the second from the bottom on the left side of your Design Space screen. And I'm going to click that and grab the square. And then what I'm going to do is unlock it, and I am going to type in my dimensions for my envelope. So I am going to go ahead and type in 5.75, and my height will be 4.25. Okay, then I'll go ahead and make this bigger so that we can see it. Okay, and so just for visual purposes, my envelope is white. I'll go ahead and change my canvas color just by going down to the bottom of the layers panel and click on blank canvas. Then come up to the top. There is a very small little color box here, and then you can choose the color that you wish to have in the background. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to come over to my text box, and I am going to come up to my fonts, and I am going to filter my fonts for writing fonts. Now, filtering for writing fonts helps you find fonts that you can browse through that are really good for writing. So therefore, they are really good with working and writing with the Cricut pens. I actually know what I'm going to use, so I'm going to go ahead and type in Knickerbocker, and then I'll select that. And then for my first line, I'm going to write out the family's name. So I'm going to write the Clarks. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and drag this up and place it on my envelope. Now I want the family's name to be rather large, and then I'm going to have their address be smaller, just for a fun little design visual. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do it just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another text box by just grabbing the T right over here, and I'm going to type out the address. So I'm going to say the address, which is 5050, and I'm just going to make up something fun for an example. Jingle Bell Way, and then I'm going to press the return button or the enter on my keyboard to go to the next line, and I will type out the rest of my address. Okay, so I have it all typed out how I would like it. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to first and foremost, let's just make this a little bit smaller. Okay, let's bring it over here. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to come up to alignment, and I'm going to say center because then everything will be centered nice. Then I am going to come up to line spacing, and I'm going to decrease the line spacing so that the gap between my lines is smaller, and therefore my lines are closer together. So I'm just going to decrease that until I visually like how I see it. Okay, that looks good to me. Now I'm going to size that down just a little bit more, and go ahead and bring it right onto my envelope here. And I think that looks really nice. Now what I can do is I can go ahead and select my address and the family name, and I can come up to align, and I can say center horizontally and just make sure that is perfect right there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to add a couple embellishments. So I am going to come over to images, and then I am going to search all images, and I am going to say Christmas. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to art type, right, which is right over here, and I'm going to click the little plus button, and I'm going to filter for draw only, because these are images that work really great with the pen because they are drawn images. So I'm just going to browse through here. There's a lot of really fun options, and I'm just going to browse through to see what I would like the best for a little embellishment on the front of my envelope. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select this image. I think that's really, really pretty. It's called Beautiful Bells Icon. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and insert images. And then I'm going to go ahead and size this down. And I'm going to bring it right down to just the kind of bottom corner of my address and just kind of make it tilted a little bit, just like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. And then I am going to come over to the top panel here and say flip horizontal. And then I'm going to put another one just right over here. I think that will look really, really nice. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select both of the little bell icons, and I am going to say align, and I am going to say align bottom. That way I know they're just lined up really, really nice there. Okay, so I really like how that looks. I think that's really, really pretty. It's just a nice little embellishment for my little card here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine which elements have which color. So I am going to do the Clarks in the green. So I am going to click on the Clarks. I'm going to come up to line type, and I'm going to say draw, and then right next to draw there is a little color box, so I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then I have my fine point pen already up here, but if you click this little drop down to the right, you can choose what pens you actually have, if you have the gel pens or the glitter gel pens or the markers, but I have the fine point pen, so I'm just going to leave that selected there. And then I'm just going to browse through here. Again, sour apple is my green color, so I'm going to go ahead and do sour apple. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and do the Jingle Bell Way address. So I'm going to come up here. It's already set to draw. Perfect. Then I'm going to go into the little color section and set the color. And again, sour apple. Okay, so then I'm going to now make these red because I want my red pen to draw out my little embellishments. So I'm going to go ahead and click those. I'm going to come up to my little color box, and I'm going to browse for Very Berry. And then I'm going to do the same here. Now it's really important that you actually do your color selections. You do not have to click the actual color. It's just easiest for me to do that. But if you just click a red, any of them, they're fine, and you can load whatever pen you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to click Very Berry, but it's very important that you do this so that your Cricut knows when to change pens out and which elements it's supposed to do in what color that you'd like. Okay, so now everything looks great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my envelope template, and I'm just going to drag it to the side really quick. And I'm going to select my address and my little embellishments, so all my writing, and I'm going to attach it all together. Okay, so everything's attached together. That tells my machine that I want everything to be written exactly where I have arranged it right here. Okay, now I'm going to bring my envelope right back in, and then I am going to say make it. Now what I'm going to do is you'll see it has my writing on one mat, and then it has my envelope on one mat, and it thinks it's going to cut it out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the envelope, and there are 3 circles in the top left. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to say move object, and I'm going to move it to the mat that has my writing on it. So I'm going to click that, say confirm. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to use this as a template really quick so that I know how to align my text. So let me just move my text over for just a moment so you can really see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to align my envelope on my mat at the 1 inch by 1 inch mark. Do you see how I'm doing that right there? Okay, so I have my envelope right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my little sentiment in right here, just my little address, and I'm going to place it where I want my machine to actually write it on my envelope. So I'm going to, you can have it centered. I'm going to bring mine down just a little bit. Actually, you want to bring it down because you are going to have your stamp right here. I also should mention, and I forgot to mention, you can add your return address right up here, and you would do that just by adding additional text box. I have a really nice return label stamp that I love using for my holiday cards, and I like to actually stamp the back of my envelopes just because it makes the front a little bit easier to read and it makes it less busy. So if you want, you can put your return up there and it's really easy to do. Okay, so that's how I want this to look. That looks really, really great. But I do not want the Cricut to cut out a rectangle. So now that I have everything aligned the way that I like it, I'm going to take this envelope and I am going to click the 3 buttons and I'm going to say hide selected. Now, before I hide it, just as a reminder, you want to remember where you want to actually put your envelope. Again, I have mine set at the 1 inch by 1 inch. So that top left corner is going to go at the 1 by 1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hide it and it's leaving just my text on my mat. Then I'll say continue. Okay, now I'm going to set my material, and honestly, it's just an envelope. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down to paper, and I'm just going to select copy paper. That's just fine. Say done, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at the first thing to load. So it's going to tell me right here, load the Sour Apple pen in clamp A. And then coming up will be the Very Berry pen, which is our red, and we'll do that second. So it will actually prompt me when it's time to load the second pen, but right now it wants me to go ahead and do Sour Apple first with clamp A. All right, let's get everything loaded and we'll get everything written on.
Okay, so I have my envelope. Now remember, you want to make sure you have it the right side up. So I'm going to go ahead and peek at the back and see that my little flap is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and again, I'm going to place it at the 1 inch by 1 inch line right there, because that is how I have my text aligned with my little template that I had. And I'm just going to place that right on the mat right here. Again, I do have a tutorial on how to do this on the Cricut Joy. It's super, super easy, and you just use your little card mat. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my machine, and I am going to go ahead and load my mat right in. And then again, it wants me to do the Sour Apple pen first. So I'm going to go ahead, put my little cap right on the back because that just helps me remember where it is. I'm going to open up clamp A just like this, and I am going to set it in and let it click in just like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and close it, and then I can click the little start button. Okay, so now it is done with the green, so I'm going to go ahead and unload clamp A, and I'm going to take out my green pen, and then I'll set that to the side and grab my red pen, which again is Very Berry, and then I will go ahead and place this right in there, hear the click, close the clamp, and then I will go ahead and do the flashing Cricut button. Now notice I did all of that without unloading my mat. Okay, now it's all done. So what I can do is take my pen out and set this to the side. So we're all done. And then I can unload my mat, and then I can take my envelope off of the mat. Okay, to take my envelope on the mat, I'm just going to turn my mat over, and gently I'm going to bend my mat, and then I'm just going to place a palm on my envelope, just like this. Okay, and it's nice and off. Now again, what I do for my Christmas cards is I put our return label. It's a nice ink stamp. I put it right on the back, and I just think it looks really classy and nice, and it just visually doesn't make it too busy on the front. But this is how it turned out. I really love it. It's actually very, very dark in person, so I'm not sure if the camera is getting how dark it is, but it's very, very dark and it's very readable. So I love how that turned out. I love the color choices together. Also, in Design Space, be sure you save your project and save your template. That way, if you want to recreate these for another family, you can go in and just double click on the name and then double click on the address and change those accordingly. That way your template's already done and all you have to do is change the name. But again, this probably wouldn't be something I would do for everybody on my Christmas card list, especially if you have a large list. But for a select few, if you're just doing a really fun little party invite, then this is a really fun idea to do, and it really turns out really, really nice. And plus the embellishments, there's so many images that you can choose from. Again, just make sure you filter for the draw only to find images that work really well with the pen. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please be sure to give this a thumbs up if you do. I hope you're enjoying the 25 days of Cricut cheer. Please be sure to also share this video to let everyone know that we are crafting over here for Christmas for 25 days in a row, and I hope to see you all in the next video.